Right then, so you and I have talked about it numerous times, but it's there behind me. You've got it now. The album, Songs from the Sun House. You must be a very very proud man. I'd have thought.
Yeah, very very proud indeed. It's been a long process since the initial recording back in 2008 to get to the point where you've actually got it in your hand and it's beautifully presented. It sounds fantastic and is ready to go. It's just a real dream come true for me.
Just give us a reminder. How would you describe the album?
Well, I mean, there's 11 original tracks out of 12, and I guess it's a mixture of soul and blues and R&B influences, with a bit of rock and roll thrown in there as well. And I guess it's probably what you'd call sort of 10 years worth of work, all told, from the beginnings of the writing of some of the first songs to the to now, to this point in time. So it's a real labour of love, and I hope a lot of people enjoy it.
Of course, Mark Butcher, synonymous with cricket, now music. But you've played for a long, long time. How did the music start for Mark Butcher?
I sang in school choirs. I was always always singing, and I started playing guitar when I was probably about 12 or 13. And played in bands with my brother and guys from school right up until I was probably about 19 or 20. But then obviously I was off in the winters playing club cricket in Australia, and then as my cricket career got bigger and bigger, the music had to take a back burner, so I stopped playing in the bands. I still always took a guitar with me whenever I went on tour, and always sort of kept my hand and eye in with writing and things like that. And it wasn't probably until about 99 2000 when I was asked to front a band for one of the PCA dinners, that had Bill Wyman in it and Paul Carrack and all these guys, that suddenly I started back playing live again. And very very nerve-wracking occasion, but we ended up doing it 4 or 5 years on the trot. And so from there on in, it started to become sort of a very very major part of my life, running alongside the cricket. So it's something that I've done forever. It's almost as long as I've been a cricket player. But obviously, whilst I was still playing and very much involved with the cricket career, it had to take a back seat. But now the roles have been reversed.
Was the album something that you'd always said, yeah, that'll be what I want to do when I get the time and I can get into the studio? Was an album always the main thing you wanted to do?
No, I mean, it was a combination of things really. It was a bit of luck. I got asked to do the BBC show, just the two of us, where I was singing duets with Sarah Brightman, and from doing that I was asked to go and do a live slot in a club in London, took the guitar along, played a couple of songs, played one of my own songs. I took a demo of one of my own songs along to the house band, played it, and the guitar player that was up there, a guy called Matt Taylor, really liked the demos that I'd written, and so we had a few drinks afterwards and started to chat about musical influences and goodness knows what else. And he said, well, listen, if you've got any more songs like that, then I'd really like to hear them, and if they're good, then I'd love to produce an album for you. And that's pretty much the start of it, and that was, I don't know, the big sort of around 2007. And so from there on in, we've been pretty much inseparable, whether it be in the studio editing or putting ideas together for shows and whatever else. And that's really how it started.
What are you mentioned musical influences there. What are your musical influences? You said there's a bit of R&B and blues and soul in there, but who have been your major influences?
Well, I mean, Eric Clapton's kind of been a massive influence ever since I can remember. In fact, that was kind of the reason why I picked up playing guitar in the first place. And so his career from the Blues Breakers and the Yardbirds right up to all his solo career has been something that I've followed forever, and I've been fortunate enough to run into him a few times because he happens to be a massive cricket fan. He's been incredibly encouraging. I sent him the album and he sent me a text back saying how much he enjoyed it. So he's one, and then all the great soul singers, guys like Al Green and Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, those guys as well. And so it's a massive hodgepodge of I guess it's probably, when you look at it, it's probably American music. Probably a lot of American black music has been the real sort of driving force behind the way that I look at composing and writing things.
What's been better, 100 in a test match or getting the album in your hands? Because I suppose that's the way to look at it, isn't it? You've been incredibly successful in one and you're very, very good at the other as well. Can you compare the two in any way?
Well, I guess with something like the album, you can play it again and again. And if I could have played a few of my innings again and again and again, then maybe I'd still be playing for England. So perhaps with the record, it's kind of it lasts longer. You know, that's one of the things about professional sport, is that your moment and the time in it is fantastic, absolutely fabulous. You wouldn't change it for the world, but it's very fleeting. You know, it comes and goes, and before you know it, you're looking for something else to do. So you know, perhaps now I'll say it's the music.
But when you batted, were there nerves there? Because I'm just thinking, when you go live on stage, must be a bit of adrenaline pumping through the body. Is that the same difference?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I think particularly now, as I got older as a cricket player and as a batsman, the nerves would be much more under control. You'd need a little bit there, but you know, I knew what I was doing. It was something that I'd been doing all my life. With the music, still, it's you know, the adrenaline gets to the point where you're feeling ill, you know. And you know, it hasn't produced any real disasters as yet, so that's a good thing. But I just love doing it. I love performing it. For the people that know me, I'm pretty sort of quiet and undemonstrative off, you know, when I'm not doing anything other than being on stage. In which case, you know, and then suddenly, you know, the show off in me comes out, and I love it every second of it.
As I got you here, I've got to ask you, of course, Ashes coming up out in Australia. How do you think England can go in that? You'd have thought they've got their best chance for some time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I met the combination of factors. I think, you know, England are playing with an enormous amount of belief, and they have, for the first time in 20 years, they have the upper hand over Australia psychologically. England aren't afraid of any of their players. They don't have the master bowlers in McGrath and Warne anymore. They're batsmen. They've managed to get a hold of Ricky Ponting. Michael Clarke hasn't really been able to show his form against them. So they've got a lot going for them going into the series. And I guess the one thing that you would say that Australia have in their favour is the fact that it's at home, and that they very, very rarely get beaten at home. Although, of course, England don't have to win the series to win. So I'd be putting a few quid on England to win this time. And you know, it'd be an incredible achievement. I mean, you know, people will talk about the fact that Australia are not strong, but you know, it hasn't been done since 1986, 87. So it doesn't matter who you're playing against. Australia are no easy beats at home, so it'd be a hell of an achievement if they do it.
Right, finally, let's get back to the important stuff. So, Songs from the Sun House. I know you can download it now. Mm-hmm. When's it in the shops? Just tell us how we can get hold of the album.
Yeah, it's available for download. I think pretty much every you know, the music selling site, iTunes, Amazon, Napster, you name it, it's out there on digital. And it'll be in stores from the 9th of August, so which is a Monday, I think. So, you know, get your sleeping bags out and sleep overnight in front of HMV on a Sunday night, and you'll be there in the front of the queue to get it on the 9th of August.
I tell you what, that'll be a moment, won't it, when you actually see it? They always talk about when you see your book in the bookshop. That'll be a moment when you see your album in music shops.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hopefully I won't see too many of them in the shops. But yeah, I'll be popping in on the 9th to make sure to go and see it in there, and probably sort of walking around with one in front of my face. Yeah.